Hi, I'm Pastor Mark.
And I'm Stephanie, and we've been married for 28 years as of this past December.
Hi, we are Tim and Ashley Shear. We've been married for almost 14 years. It will be 14 years this November.
Hello, we're Carl and Quinn Durley, and we've been married since the summer of 1994.
28 years.
28 years this summer.
Hello, we are Nick and Laura Forrester. We have been married 3.5 years since October of 2018.
A funny story we wanted to share with you was when Mark and I first got married and we were living in an apartment on Hazel Street in Wilkes-Barre. It was a snowstorm, and Mark had this great idea.
I had this great idea to wash clothes, and our washer and dryer were actually outside the apartment, so you had to go down steps
Outside.
to go
Filled
wash.
with snow in a snowstorm.
But it was a pain always having to wait for other people to use it, so I knew no one would be using it during a snowstorm. And so I went out and with a basket full of clothes and
Slippers.
slippers, and I slid at the top step and fell down the entire thing of steps. And did you hear me?
Laundry everywhere. I did. I heard noise and I ran out. I looked out the door and I see Mark laying in the middle of all this laundry at the bottom of the steps, and everyone who was at the back of the apartment complex were looking out like, what happened?
It was pretty embarrassing. So picked up the clothes and went back inside and never did the laundry.
In the middle of the snow?
And learned to listen to my wife.
Okay.
Probably the coffee story. The funny story.
Yeah. It just comes to mind. It gave us a good laugh. We were traveling and stopped at Dunkin' for coffee, and we talked about what we wanted, and I said I'll go in and get them. We
I asked for medium.
Yeah, we both said we wanted medium coffees. I went inside. On my way in, after I had left the car, she knocked on the window and put up an L like that, and I nodded to her. She was asked if she wanted to have a large instead. I went inside, came back with the coffees, and handed her medium coffee, and I had a medium. And she asked me, well, why did you get me a medium? I asked for a large. I said, no, we talked about a medium. And she said, well, I put the L up to tell you I wanted a large. And I said, I don't know, I thought you were calling me a loser.
And I was like, well, why did you not?
It's good if you can find the humor in miscommunication. So we laughed about that for a little while.
Actually, one time, Ashley won a gift certificate to Fire and Ice. So you had liked Fire and Ice on Facebook.
Right.
So you entered a contest, right? They had a
It's
post.
like a kindness, share a story of kindness.
Right, so they had this post on their Facebook page. You responded, and they liked your post so much that they said you win the gift certificate.
Yeah. It was 2 free entrees.
2 free entrees. You can't pass that up. So we went to Fire and Ice shortly thereafter. I think we both got filet mignon
We sure did.
for dinner. We had appetizers. I think we each had our own appetizers. I think we upgraded to sodas from water for a drink. Yeah, and we also ordered dessert. So we get all this food, and then the check comes, and so Ashley hands the server the gift certificate.
And they were like, oh, I've never seen this before. And I was like, oh yeah, it's from the Facebook contest. And they're like, okay, let me go ask my manager about this. And then they leave, and we're just not thinking anything. We're just like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, we're full from filet mignon. We don't care. Well, the server comes back, and as it turns out, the Fire and Ice that Ashley liked on Facebook and entered the contest for was a Fire and Ice in California. It was a completely different restaurant that she won the gift certificate for. And in hindsight, I think that they actually knew, looking at your profile, that you're from Pennsylvania and you'll never go, so let's just give her the gift certificate. They really didn't even like your story. So we had to pay for the whole meal. It was the wrong Fire and Ice.
When I think of a funny story about our relationship and what we've been through, I automatically think of actually the day that we got engaged. So the day that we got engaged, I had planned to propose to Laura at the base of this waterfall. And it wasn't like a giant waterfall, but it was a pretty decent waterfall. And so as we're at the base of it, we are looking around and checking things out. And meanwhile, I'm trying not to panic and freak out because I'm about ready to propose. And so as I'm looking around for just the right spot to like get on one knee and to propose, she starts to say, "Be careful, the rocks are slippery." But as she's saying those words, right at that moment, my feet just go whoop right from underneath me. I hit the ground and I fall right in to the waterfall and I get soaked. And so I'm like freaking out right now. I have like the ring in this bag on me and I went fully under. I like crawl back up and my knees were all filled with moss and I was all cut up, and I tried to save it by, a smooth line of, just like I fell there, I'm continuing to fall for you every day. And she's laughing at me, but she said yes. So literally I fell on my face for her the day that I proposed.
Just a word of encouragement that we would give to couples. I don't know, obviously communications is always a big one.
Persevere.
We really think that persevering is what we would encourage people to do, to hang in there, and not just hang in there like just persevering, but actually having hope and not just giving up, but really persevering. There are times you might feel like your relationship is not going to get any better, or it's just you're stuck in the same patterns and things are never going to change. And we've felt that way about certain things that we've disagreed about over the years, but things do change. You hang in there, you talk about it. If it means you gotta talk about it again, sometimes 100 times. But I feel like there are certain things that we've worked through that I'm really glad that we persevered through it, where we understand each other better than we did before. So it's worth it.
It's important to date one another. Make time for your spouse. Life is busy. You might have kids. You have a job. You have a million things going on in this world. And there's so many ways and so many excuses to stay busy. But your marriage, is the most important relationship that you have with another human being in this world. And it is so important to stay connected. And one of the great ways that you can do that is by dating one another.
It doesn't have to be fancy fire and ice, but just make time. It doesn't have to be a whole day event either, or even out of your house. Just any time that you can just make for two of you is all that really matters. And if you're like us, as the years go on, we gain more kids, so it's harder to date. So you have to get more creative.
Yeah. And you play restaurant at home and make the kids the waiters and the waitresses. And
you eat your meal in a separate room and pretend you're in a restaurant.
When I think about an encouragement to you all, one of the words that has actually been on my heart for a couple weeks, really since Pastor Tim preached on serving, has been the word serve. And so when I think about an encouragement to families, especially couples, I just want to encourage you to find ways to outserve one another. And I think acts of service is really a core component of marriage, being able to serve one another behind the scenes without asking for anything in return. And I think we've tried to make it a decent practice in our marriage to find ways to outserve one another, just so we can show love and care and support, to know that we are a team and we are in this together for the long haul, and that we can give God the glory in and through being able to serve one another.
One of the things that I know I learned, and we did together when we were doing the Love and Respect study, was that sometimes when you have a disagreement with your spouse, you can assume that they mean or they have negative or bad intentions. And one of the things we learned in that study is that to not assume that, but even when you have a disagreement, to remember that they do love you and care about you and have good intentions towards you. And I know that's been something that's been really encouraging for the both of us as we've enjoyed these many years.
Definitely an encouragement in the communication part of marriage.
well, happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
So we are praying for you all, and we are so blessed to be a part of Fellowship Church. Happy Valentine's Day.